Okay, so I typed this in. I'm going to graph. It's not good for me. I mean, it's actually not bad, but I would caution like this. I don't need a whole lot of this here. I kind of want to focus in on the intercepts and the vertex. I'm going to try a zoom 6. It's probably not going to work for me, but so I know this is what's happening. Number of instances is because the A is positive, so I know it's pointing up. Okay, so that's very important to know, and it's going to be a wider curve. And I know that my y-intercept is negative 50. Okay, I should be able to observe that right away. So I'm going to change my window a little bit. I'm going to change my y-min. I'm going to go to negative 60 or something like that because of the y-intercept. That does a pretty good job. Now I need to change my x-max still. I'm going to go to 20. That is a pretty good window there. So if you want to, I'm not going to ask you to do that, but sometimes my key has this, like window, and I'll just basically write out what I had on my screen. So I'm going to go negative 10, 20, and then I'm going to go negative 60, 10. Okay? So that way you know what window I used. If you're absolutely not able to get your window, then you can check. Not always, but sometimes I do that. But remember, I talked about zoom fit, correct? So you could use zoom fit, zoom 0, and let's see what it does in this case. It's a pretty good fit, right? So zoom fit, some teachers, if you have a different teacher in grade 12, they might not like you using zoom fit, but I'm thinking it's technology, it's a feature, use it, right? Use whatever you can to come up with a graph, a good window. And guess what? If you press window, right, these automatically adjust to make the graph fit, but it doesn't always work. You might have to still do some further adjustments. Like for example, if I go look at my graph, the vertex is too close to this is technically the y-min here, right? That's the border. So I'm going to go to my window and change my y-min to negative 60. Oops. You can just overwrite. You don't have to delete values. You just go to wherever you want to change and go negative 60. You press negative 60, it'll just overwrite it. That's a pretty good window. Anyways, enough about window. I think you already know what needs to happen. So, state the coordinates of the vertex. We're going to go ahead and do that. Let me know what keys you're pressing. So this is second trace min. Okay, so second trace min. After a while, you shouldn't be pressing arrows anymore. Honestly, you go second trace. I press number 3. It's just faster. Try to speed it up, right? So left side, and then I go to the right of the vertex, and boom. You do not want to just use the arrows to kind of sort of find out where it is. Some students do that. Worst case scenario, they just scroll over and then they copy down the coordinates. I want it exact, okay, because we are able to do that. So that's 3.56. So if you just say 3.56, negative 55.08. That is the correct coordinate of the vertex. Okay? 1 mark for that. B, state the y-intercept. I'm just going to go ahead and not even use my calculator because I know that's in general form, and that means that the last value there is it's negative 50. Can I just show you something real quick here? Sometimes we kind of want to forget about pre-cal and the way things were done there. But when you're finding the y-intercept, you know what you're doing? If you write this in function notation, you're finding f of 0. I don't know if that rings a bell. When x is equal to 0, you basically insert 0 wherever there is an x. I need you to still know that this is really happening in the background. Okay? So what happens to this whole expression? It turns into 0. This whole expression turns into 0 too. So you're left with negative 50. So f of 0 is negative 50. Say what? When x is equal to 0, if you plug it in, you get a negative 50. So that's your y value at that point. So you can now say the y-intercept is 0.50. This is algebraically. Every once in a while I might throw this in there. But don't forget about it. It's still it's still happening. You can still use it if you need to. Next, so half a mark only for stating this, because you technically don't need your calculator when it's in this format. State the x-intercepts. I let y2 equal to 0, and then I'm going to go second trace intersect. Okay, so y2 is equal to 0, hit graph, second trace 5. You find the one, I go a little closer to the one I want, hit enter, enter one more time, and bingo. Negative 8.17, 0. So that's one mark there. I'm going to go find the other one, second trace 5. Travel all the way to the other side. That's close. Enter, enter, enter. And you get 15.30. Round it. If you didn't round, just take off half a mark once on this whole AC if you made a rounding error. So 1 mark, correct. 2 marks there. D, what is the domain and range? I'm gonna keep this area for my graph, okay? So D, for the domain, we usually go D like that. That's the proper way, and then, but it's okay if you just do this part. A domain is this, or you could also say negative infinity to positive infinity round brackets. Both formats are acceptable. And the range, so you get half a mark for this, either one, doesn't matter. And your range, y is greater than or equal to, I need the y value of my vertex, which is negative 55.08. And so consistency is what's going to get you marks here. Let's say you got your vertex wrong, but you use that value in here, you would get full marks for the range. Okay? And if you want interval notation, I hope you're starting to add that to your study sheet, how to do that. You would get something like that. That is a mark, either or. You don't have to have both. Just do either or. Okay? And I liked your graphs. They were actually pretty good. So now we're going to do that. So we know this is a word problem. Sorry, not a word problem. My bad. Because once we have word problems, this is going to change slightly how we approach and how we state the domain and range. So this is x and y, so I make this fit. I look at my graph. It's probably a good one to kind of go by the graph and make sure it kind of matches it. I'm looking at my intercepts and x-intercepts here and y-intercept. So my x-intercept are going to tell me how wide do I need, how much space do I need sideways. Okay? So if I go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, that'll do it. So that gets me to negative 14. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. It's a little tight. So I think I might just do it by threes then. So negative 3, negative 6, negative 9, negative 12, and so forth. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. This would be 18. So if you used 5s, that's fine. Couple of things. The gap has to be pretty even. So I don't want to see like huge gaps and small gaps, and just to try to fit it in, right? So then start from scratch if you need to. And then I'm going to put these points down. Negative 8 is somewhere there. 15.3 is right there next to 15. So those are placed. I need to have a y-intercept of negative 50 and a vertex that gets me all the way to negative 55. So I'm going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That'll do it. And it's okay to only label every other one. Okay? So you don't need to have every single mark labeled. I'm okay with that. So this will be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? So I'm just going to go 20, 40 like that. So 0, negative 50 is right here. And then 3.56, negative 55. somewhere in here. Right there is my vertex. Okay. So you go like that. Make sure it opens up. And then you do this way. And we have the equation, 0.4x squared. So if you forgot the equation, minus half, okay? So the main thing I'm looking for is obviously shape. And with the shape, I mean like, are the intercepts, are the points where they're supposed to be? That's kind of what I'm looking for. That gets you a mark. Labels gets you another mark. And scale gets you another mark. And by scale, I mean, are you going up consistently? Okay, are you going up by, if you're going up by 3s, is it always 3s? Is the gap equally spaced out? Okay. That's also what I'm looking for. So that's where your 3 marks come from. So labels, for example, if you forgot to put the X and the Y, that's only half off. If on top of that you forgot your equation, I would say another half. So that's where you lose all of your labels. Shape, if any of the points is like way off, like I mean, you put the 15 somewhere in the 6 here, and so you have like a weird looking shape, I would say that's a -1 as well. Okay, and so that's where you get your 3 marks. If yours looks pretty good, today you're the teacher, you give yourselves 3 marks, and this is out of 8. 8 total. So make sure you have a mark out of 8 at the top here and your name and last name on there.